sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select.
That's So Dolphins Talk with John Baker and Trigga Trey Proctor.
We check your pulse if you're not fired up.
Dude, are we good?
Dude, we're the best team in the league.
If you don't have eye black at home, you better go get some eye black.
Oh my god, we're back.
Hello and welcome to That's So Dolphins Talk. Got myself, John Baker, with the co-pilot, Trigga Trey Proctor. This is going to be the bonus content from the Podski. We're going to give this to you every single week. It is going to be Fins Talk, and this week we had a huge Fins win, 20-7 over the Patriots, so let's get into it.
Oh my god, we're back.
Hello and welcome into That's So Dolphins Talk. I am John Baker, got the co-pilot with me, Trigga Trey, and we are off and rolling a huge Fins W. 20-7, huge win. Triggs, what'd you think about the game?
Let me start this with, I want to start with that. The vitamins are flowing, and I feel real good about that victory. Some things to work on. Got to remember it's week one. But I tell you what, anytime you can start 1-0 against the Patriots, and anytime Tua can stay undefeated against the Patriots, it's definitely feels good.
I thought that they looked great. I thought the defense really looked really good, and they're only going to get better because definitely only week one. The only thing that kind of sucked overall was that they had shitty field position the entire game. They were just pinned deep in the entire
Other than that last drive there where we started on the, I think it was the minus 45. We were pinned inside our own 20 the majority of the game.
So all right, well, let's get into the review. We'll start in the first quarter. What'd you think about how do you think about it start?
Like, we get stuck that has no upper lip, and for whatever reason he has something against the Miami Dolphins. Every single time it seems like that a game's coming down to the wire, whether we're playing the Patriots or Bills, we're stuck with no lip. But overall, first quarter, it's hard to throw the damn football. It's electric. Even his incompletions just feel good. Obviously, his arm strength has been in question here from the fan base and the national media for the last 2.5, 3 years. But I think overall we started okay. Defensively, that first drive, and I don't know if we were just working some kinks out. I know we were hurting that corner, but we had Keon playing corner there, and that big third down he gave up that screen pass didn't keep outside leverage. But overall, I think holding the Patriots to no points in the first quarter is a huge win.
I definitely thought that we definitely got away with one on X's interception. Like, he had all of him. He had all of Parker, which kudos to the Fins, because that's a classic game where any other time, like, anybody that's left the Dolphins and went to the Patriots, they would have lit it up. And it was actually really good to see that Parker had really no effect on the game at all.
X literally eliminated him. And I would say, being a defensive back coach myself, I would say that was a little aggressive out of our corner there. But, of course, they got a makeup call there at the end. Getting their only touchdown of the game. Clearly they came from a makeup call on that fourth down, which I'm sure we'll get to. But, I thought overall Parker was absolutely non-existent.
The only big play that they ever got was there in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't even him. It was Kendrick Bourne. But we'll get to that then. The one thing, as soon as the very first play the Fins had, that Tua threw it straight into the ground, I was like, oh no, like, that was instantly going to be all over Twitter. And it was instantly. It didn't even, Barstool put it up instantly. Like, it didn't even take them, they were waiting for that. And it's just so good whenever the Fins can just come out and just slap the Patriots, especially because of Portnoy. But
whether it's Barstool, whether it's, NFL CBS, they will scream to its failures, but any successful pass he has or successful game he has, they have nothing to say. I mean, this kid is, 4-0 against Belichick right now? Like, I don't understand. I don't care if he's throwing for 305 yards, 310 yards a game. I don't care if he throws for 100 yards. Any quarterback that can walk in and beat a Bill Belichick team 4 straight times. I just don't understand
Well,
how you
to
can
get
hate on
into
that.
Tua's stats, he was 22 of 33 for 270 and 1 touchdown. No interceptions. He was sacked 3 times, and he averaged 11.7 yards per pass, and his rating was 104.4. That's by far his best game that he's had against the Pats.
It's winning football. Rating 104.4, average pass attempt over 11 yards. I think the league average is
Yeah.
just under 7. So, we're above league average and getting the ball, past the usually a first down marker on our pass attempts. But, again, a lot of there's a lot of yak involved in our offense, which, I figured, but we're stupid not to use those playmakers. Listen, we all want to see the ball pushed deep. I'm screaming it just as much as the next person. But if we're talking about percentage of throws here, are you taking a deep shot and hoping for a 35 to 50-yard gain, or are you throwing to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and letting them run the football,
Right.
which we've seen?
And I thought that another thing they did
The
great
second half.
through not even in the first quarter but throughout the game was that they established a run early and they didn't shy away from it. They stuck with the run, even though like the stretch toss play that they do, that didn't work the entire game, but they stuck with it. Like that was one thing that was really early in the game that when they tried to do that like toss that's like essentially a stretch. Duggar on the Pats, like he shot the gap every single play, and he was always there. That was one of the things that was the only thing that the Pats really took away most of the game was just that stretch.
Good job with taking that stretch away. We had some success out of that I formation, kind of inside zoning it. I thought I'll tell you what, I was tickled pink with Chase Edmonds being able to run the football inside the tackles like he did. I think that's going to be big for us going into the later parts of this season. They stay consistent with it, but into that first quarter, I'll be honest with you, O-line made. We lose. Jackson, Austin Jackson early. Armstead came out of the game. I didn't see an injury diagnosis with him, so we'll have to follow up on that. But just seems like with our O-line, again, we are just an injury or two away from being abysmal.
Yeah,
which
I
is
don't
scary.
know how it's been the thing the whole off season and coming into the season. We have no idea how the line's going to play, and then literally that first quarter, Austin Jackson comes out. He kept holding his Achilles. I don't know, was it his ankle or his Achilles? Because it was right after that Ingold, was it the 4th and 1 or was it the 3rd and 2? I can't remember which one, but Ingold ran out of that I formation and he just ran right over Jackson's leg. I don't know if it was his ankle or if it was Achilles. Hopefully just an ankle.
If it's because he actually played the snap after that and then came out. So I'm hoping it's just an ankle with him and it's something we're able to kind of mend up going into next week. As much as I'm not a huge Austin Jackson fan, I'd much rather have him in there than Little right now. Although Little held up well, but again, I just felt like every time Tua was dropping back, we were still
the
ball downfield.
It felt
like we
that
wanted to.
he was going to get sacked at any point in time because the Pats, they really brought pressure really well whenever they did. It just the speed really killed them most of the time. Because it was only 3-0 after the first quarter.
In the first quarter, 3-0. Which anytime you can pitch a shutout with that,
pitching a huge shutout against the Pats, starting off, it was huge. And then the second quarter, it didn't really feel like it. Kind of felt like the Finns kind of felt a little stale there on offense, but then the big defensive play, because we finally got the field flipped, and I thought Morstead was awesome. He did well, very, very well. He pinned him deep a lot of times because not only were the Pats, they had really bad starting position too. So the field position game, it factored the Finns the entire game, especially early where they started deep. But I think the huge difference was that the Finns were able to move the ball and we could move it to it like the 45 or 50, and then we'd stall out on a stupid play or something like that, but then we could punt it and pin them deep. So it felt like a stalemate there until they had that huge strip sack for the touchdown. Then
huge, but it just felt like I don't have the box score in front of me here, but it just felt like we had 4 possessions in the entire first
Yeah,
half. That's what it felt like. Like both teams were driving the ball well. But obviously neither of us could finish, and our defense came up big, and I don't know, I wanted to hate on the offense as much as I could, but I don't think we had any 3-and-outs in the first half, and I just we were driving the ball well. It just seems like we were getting stuck in the plus territory there, and of course our defense early on just seems like we could not get off the field. On third down. Same with our offense, man. I don't understand. It felt like every single drive we're trying to get big
yeah,
third downs. Can we get a first down on second down? That would be
right.
nice.
That's what I was thinking too. It felt like they were really, I guess because I don't know, this game felt like a huge statement game. Like they were really pushing it early, and then it seemed like sometimes they were trying to push it way too hard. Like they were just trying to go for big play after big play there for a little bit. And then they just kind of, it's like they got a good rhythm going, and then they just, like what you said, they stalled out in plus territory, and it just killed the drive. But it looked like we had in the second quarter, we got the ball early, and then we had a drive, and then we kicked it with about 7:52 left. And then 7:45, New England got it back, and they had it until about the 4-minute mark. So it was really going back and forth, but that was whenever the 7:52 is whenever we got that touchdown then on the defense. So it was a quick turnaround for the defense, but at least they got the success finally.
The same thing. It's been the same story for the last, it feels like 3 years where that defense continues to come up big, but it just feels different offensively this year. Again, I don't think anything was world breaking in terms of what our offense looked like, but Ty's just an absolute playmaker. Like, dude, you're throwing a screen pass on 3rd and 10 and he's getting first downs. Whereas, last year that's a screen pass to love him to death, but Mac Hollins, and he's probably getting tackled for a 3-yard gain and we're punting.
Tyreek
so it just
had
seems
6
like
catches,
you know
in the first half. I think it was 6 for like 67 or something like that. So I mean, he was getting 10 yards of play, but he was a huge factor early in that game, and then even in the first half and deep into the second too. But the biggest play I think of the second quarter was at the end there, whenever on that big score from Tua to Waddle. I had on that 4th and 7, I was not expecting them to do that play.
As I'm livid. The game with why give them an opportunity? Because they're a big pass play away from being in field goal range. But I give credit to Mike McDaniel, first game in that stadium, 104-degree heat on the field. Crowds ruckus, and why not get it in the hand of your playmakers? And Waddle literally,
yeah.
saying, where is Jalen Waddle? I feel like he didn't have a catch the entire.
Yeah, he had that
entire first half, and then you look at his stat
that
line.
one comeback in that same drive, and you're just like, where? We didn't even realize that Waddle wasn't even. I didn't even realize that. Like, I hadn't heard his name the entire game until that comeback on that 3rd and what I think it was a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 8, like early in the drive, and then I figured that they were just going to run it out because they got it back in the second half. I was really happy to go into halftime at 10-0.
Celebrating. I had the Crown Royal Peach out. We were drinking Crown shots. We're celebrating 10-0. And I look up and we got Penguin Waddle went into the end zone. I'm like, goodness gracious. That's what happens when you have playmakers on your offense, though. And again, he had a quiet, probably I think he had 5 for 80 or 4 for 80 or something like that on his stat line. That, it was a quiet game for him, and he was still absolutely
very
undefensible.
quiet.
It felt
he
like.
had 5 targets, 4 catches for 69 yards. And that's very mild for a Jalen Waddle game, considering what he did last year. Last year he would have had Hill's stat line. Hill ended up with 12 targets, 8 receptions, 94 yards. But yeah, going into that halftime, I felt great. I don't think I've ever been in a Fins game against the Pats and they've been up 17-0. I was elated. I thought, I kind of knew it felt like the game was in the bag, because it felt like that play felt completely deflating for the Pats. Like, they looked out of it after that.
I knew, like, us scoring, getting the ball after half, regardless of if we scored or not, I just knew that after, it took everything they had to score any points or to move
Right. Yeah, and
the game going into
yeah,
half.
going 17-0 at half felt so good. I was not expecting to be uh, being up 17-0 at half, and then the third quarter. I don't know. It just kind of felt the third quarter felt so long. I was just waiting for the third quarter to get over because it just kind of felt like we were kind of hanging on there, and not really hanging. It didn't feel like we were hanging on, but it was just like it kind of felt like one of those. I guess because I'm like so conditioned as like a Finn fan that I was just waiting for the Pats to just turn it on and figure it out, and they never did. And I mean they did that drive where they really drove and then they scored, which I didn't even realize Ty Montgomery was still in the league.
Listen, I love Jalen Phillips to death. Great draft pick, going to be a stud. But having him, whatever we're running defensively, having him on an island out in the flat with Ty Montgomery in a goal line situation is probably not ideal. So I don't know if that was a blown coverage. I think there's a lot of things in this game where I'd like to see the all 22 and just see really, what we're playing. Because just seemed like we're still 7 to 10 yards off the football almost. I think we got a little bit more aggressive towards the end and started getting into our amoeba look, where we're bringing pressures and things of that nature. But felt different defensively in terms of our defensive backfield. I know we're missing Byron Jones, and I think Needham belongs much more in the slot. I don't understand how you can be a good slot corner and not play good on the boundary. In the slot, you're giving up a lot of two-way goes, whereas on the boundary, you have basically a second defender with the sideline. So I don't know how that doesn't transition from boundary to slot corner and vice versa, but it just seems like that Needham. Now, again, he had good coverage in a lot of those plays. I wasn't saying he's getting burnt or anything of that nature, but it seems like any time that they needed a play, they're throwing at Needham, which I guess I would too if you got, and
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away is that we didn't see Igbenogany one play this entire game, which felt so good because going into that game, we had no idea because weren't they thinking that Kean Crossan was going to play the boundary there for a little bit?
Crossing on the boundary, then he gave up that screen pass in the first quarter, whenever it was, on that 3rd and 12 and gave up outside leverage. And dude, I'm firing him into the moon with an Uber. We're Ubering him. I get him off the field. 3rd and 12 and you give up outside leverage on a screen pass. I mean, same old Dolphins.
But yeah, and then I mean that was really that drive where the Pats scored. That was literally the only success they had in the entire game. Like they could not get any. It really looks like they got nothing going on the offense. Like there's nothing to. If that felt like it felt like roles reversed because usually it feels like, yeah,
exactly right. That felt like the Dolphins.
The way the Pats played is how the Dolphins always play. And it felt so weird that the roles were literally reversed. Like the Finns defense had it going, and then the offense was not that like what you said, like the offense didn't set anyone on fire. It's not like they were doing anything crazy or special. The only special play was that Waddle play, but like they just did their job. They moved the ball. They didn't have to take. Or really, the only play Tua missed 2 plays that whole entire game that I can think of. Was the very first play where he threw it into the dirt because I'm pretty sure he had Hill on an island out there. And then the one where they threw it to Mostert in the 4th quarter or trying to close whenever they got that field goal, I think. Mostert, he should have thrown. Hill was on another island and he threw it to Mostert, but luckily we had Raheem Mostert. Like, I think the big factor of this game was the fact that we actually had good running backs. Like Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert are like huge for this offense because we're used to sitting there watching fucking Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed, and they're absolutely like they're shitty. If that's what you're relying for on your running back squad, like you're not a good team.
Starting running backs from last year are now 3rd and 4th on the depth chart. Obviously, we had some issues in the backfield last year. Let's not try and hide it, ladies and gentlemen. So I think having those playmakers on the field this week really, really helped us. I think it's going to help us for the rest of the year, obviously. But again, I don't want the national media is going to paint this in a certain way, I'm sure, about Tua, because that's the life we live in. But this is still a Bill Belichick coach defense, and they don't get blown out a lot, right? I didn't expect a 46-10 football game. I didn't. To be honest with you, to win by 2 scores feels good. Obviously, I had a little money on the Fins -2.5, so that feels good. But it's you're 1-0 after week 1. You gotta fucking celebrate it.
Especially when you beat a Bill Belichick defense by 2 scores. Now, granted, our defense got one of them, but still, at any rate, it still feels good to win by 2 scores. But anything.
The worst human being on this planet.
Who is?
I don't understand his hate for the
super elated, but looking ahead now. I don't know if you saw any of those highlights from that Ravens game, but I mean, I know that they were dealing with a Jets defense there, but Lamar was airing it at.
Yeah, that makes me a little nervous. I'm gonna be at the game next weekend, so we will have real life results in front of my face. I'm really hoping that we can figure something out, corner wise, because the Patriots aren't actually, running up down the field receiver, offensively with what they're rolling out. So I'm hoping that we can figure something out that way, because if we're getting aired out on like that, nervous.
And that's luckily that we're not running that, because the Jets run that San Francisco zone style defense, and luckily we're going to run that amoeba man, and I feel a little bit better about it, especially because we already saw them last year. Now probably Lamar wasn't that was the real big turning point of the season last year, and Lamar was probably a little banged up, but I mean, they look like a nice, well-oiled machine out there. Granted, they're playing the Jets, but I don't know. It's got to be a all hands on deck situation next week, because you don't want to get blown at in your second game of the season.
Well, yeah. Again, I mean, it's the gauntlet of the AFC. It seems like every week we're going to step into an AFC opponent that, at any point could make a run at a division title. So other than, of course, the Jets, who are absolute dog shit, but the Ravens, we get blown out by the Ravens, and this Patriots win just seems like it evaporates, and all of a sudden we're having questions. And listen, I don't want it. We've all been around for the Matt Moore days where we're chanting Matt Moore, and I just really want Tua to again build off of this game. He goes out for another 270, and we're not getting Skylar Thompson chance in the stands.
Oh yeah, they're already out. And if you're out there clamoring for Skylar Thompson minutes, you're a fucking moron. But
yeah, dude, if you're we had technical difficulties there, so let me re-preface. Adam Archuleta.
Oh yeah, Archuleta's a moron.
Dude, it just seemed like no matter what we did offensively, it was nothing but negativity. It really felt like, again, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist guy wearing a tinfoil hat over here, but it really felt like CBS is in his ear saying, hey, we have this narrative about Tua. Make sure we're, planting these seeds about him not playing well. Dude's throwing for 270, 4-0 against Belichick, and Archuleta's up there talking shit. Mac Jones is throwing balls into the stands with no pressure.
Yeah,
we got nothing.
And if we want to go over Mac Jones stats, he was 21 of 30 of 213. His average throw was 10 yards, and he had a touchdown and a pick. And I mean, I don't want to say that Jones played bad, but he didn't do anything he just played a typical Mac Jones game that we literally seen all year, and then in the media will tell you that he played better than Tua.
He's Chad Pennington. He's Chad Pennington.
Good comparison.
That's who he is.
He literally is Chad Pennington. That's awesome. That's a really great comparison.
Yeah, that's who he is, and that's fine. You can win football games with Chad Pennington, but stop bringing him out here like he's the next Tom Brady. I'm just really hoping that the national media is going to start turning on this whole quote-unquote Belichick way, because guess what? It's kind of starting to make me wonder why all these coaches leave and try to implement this Belichick way and it doesn't work in other places. Is that maybe because they don't have Tom Brady? It didn't work for Flores. It didn't work for, how many other coaches that have come out of that Belichick coaching tree, because it only works and it's only the Belichick way because Belichick's coaching Tom Brady. Now that he's coaching a average to below average quarterback in Chad Pennington Jones, I, I'm just hoping the national media is starting to see that. I doubt it will. Of course, the Patriots will continue to get, primetime games and they'll get all the love on the ESPNs and the Sirius XMs of the world. But we all know where we stand in terms of that offense and what to expect out of them. I'm calling it right now, losing record.
Oh, well, I mean, there's only so many games you can win, really. I mean, they're probably going to be, I don't know. I don't want to pigeonhole myself here, but they feel like a 7-10 team.
Yeah, it feels like the
Dolphins could
Dolphins.
easily be 7-10 as well. We have no idea. I mean,
yeah, we could.
They could be anywhere from 7-10 to 12-5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do you want to go over any other stats before we go into before we do anything else?
No, I think again, Hill is as advertised. He's special. I expect more out of our offense next week, to be honest with you. Again, in the all 22, I'd like to see what the Patriots are actually playing, because I gotta wonder defensively how soft of a zone they were playing, and what that tells me is that our offensive line is very, very scary. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I think the Patriots saw something, whether it be in preseason or just as the game's going, that they're able to get pressure only bringing 4, and they can sit in that soft zone. We can't push the ball deep because you don't have time. We can't push the ball deep because they're playing too high, man underneath, whatever it is. So, again, it has to be on the all 22, but it just worries me that our offensive line is going to be the Achilles heel of this team.
Well, I mean, it felt like a lot of times they would send 5, drop 6, and that 5th person was completely untouched the entire game. Like, it didn't matter where the 5th person came from; they were free.
Yeah. And then listen, Tua was a little careless with the ball at times. I don't know if that's him getting out of the pocket and trying to make a play, but it just seems like anytime he
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It just seems like anytime he was scrambling, he just wasn't able to, gather himself and connect on a ball, whether it was short, deep, whatever. Just felt like he was out of sorts once he got out of the pocket.
Yeah, because he had a really big he had a bonehead play at there whenever it was like 2nd and 2, and it was like he threw it into the dirt. Like, he was trying to hit, I think it was Sherfield or Wilson or somebody like that, like short, like they're at the goal line, and he threw it right in the dirt. But like he had 10 more yards. He could have ran and got that first down easily. And then he had that one where he was scrambling out, and that was almost a pick. Probably should.
Oh, it should have been. I don't know what that ball. I don't know if he was expecting Waddle to stop, and Waddle kept rolling, whatever it was. But that was a bad throw. But this offense feels like, dude, if our defense can get off the field, and not give up these long drives with the classic bend but don't break defense that the Miami Dolphins continue to display.
Oh, dude.
If we're able to get off the field, it seems like this offense is going to have opportunities to continue to stack up big numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, easily going to have, in my opinion, 2,000-yard receivers. Just looking at the way we played today, and we still didn't get a lot of Gesicki minutes, who at this point may be useless. I don't know. We're both Penn State fans. We love Gesicki, but he might just be useless in this offense. But Cedric Wilson's out there still. There's so many weapons on that football field.
Yeah. And Gesicki, it really sucks because we're both huge State guys, and it sucks because you would think that somebody like with his skill set, he would be able to fit into a George Kittle role, but he just can't block. He can't.
Right. It's almost like if it feels like every time he steps on the field, the offense knows that it's a pass.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Right. That's not good. And really, Durham Smythe is like the little crown jewel of that draft, because without him, we don't have anybody else, because we don't got. I don't know how long Hunter Long is going to hang around. I don't think he's really progressing that well. And then we lose Keithan Carter, and I don't know what happened to him. He was on the ground for a long time. It looked like an arm or something, like maybe shoulder.
Yeah, he was definitely something serious, which bad to say, but it just felt like, again, we've said this to each other all year, all off season. It feels like we're an injury away from being like not very good. So anytime someone goes down, I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm anxious to see, just looking into next week, moving on from this game, getting the dub. Obviously, want to look into next week. We'll celebrate this tonight. But what's our offensive line going to look like? Jackson leaves. Little leaves, does come back. Armstead jogs off. I don't remember if he came back in or what the diagnosis was on him, but just makes me nervous to see what we're going to do offensively with our offensive line and how serious those injuries are.
Yeah, I think the one really good thing too is that in short yardage we were able to move it, even though that we did have those issues. So that felt really good too.
Yeah.
So, all right, well we will wrap this up. We got a huge Fins win today, 20-7 against New England. Always good to beat the Pats. We got the Ravens next week. Ravens had a big win against the Jets. However, it is those pesky rotten Jets. But
buddy, we'll be boots on the ground next weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna be boots on the ground at the Ravens game next week. It's gonna be a fun time.
The Posky takes Baltimore.
Oh yeah, that's so Dolphins talk is gonna be deep into Charm City. So all right, well that was our very first episode. Check us out on _Podski, as this is our bonus content that we're gonna give you every week. You got anything you want to plug?
No, just follow my Twitter at this team makes me drink. Because this team makes me drink, win or lose. I am still drinking. We are 15 Motras deep, and they will keep flowing into the late night here in Newburgh, Pennsylvania.
Let's go. All right. With that, we're going to wrap it up. We'll see you next week on That's So Dolphins Talk.